Navigate to Scenes in your GoGuardian teacher account, and you'll be prompted to create an allowed list or a blocked list. Now, unless you have specific websites you want to block, generally an allowed list will help keep your students focused. You'll create a list, name the list, maybe add a description or an optional color. Now, if you know what you're going to have your students working on, you can enter the websites here. I recommend using what they call a wildcard, which is basically an asterisk that will allow students to access any website that includes this part in the URL. So if I just did google.com, they could only access google.com. But if I included this asterisk, then they can include like Classroom, Docs, anything that has that google.com component embedded in the web address. So you can manually add the websites. Maybe you just want Kids on iReady and you can just create that. Another option is I've put together a district kind of like master list based off of the GoGuardian information and reports and what popular websites you guys are using during your sessions. So this does kind of encompass K-8 activities. You can add this list to include in your scene. If I wanted to include this one, I would select it. Students would have access to all of these. But again, if you're not using Vex in Classroom, then no one's, like your second graders probably aren't going to know to go to vex.com, right? So it's like they would just be allowed to do their 99 math or whatever. You could add it to scene. And so that pops up over here. And then even if I wanted to add an additional one, I could add, maybe it wasn't on the district list, you could add your own additional sites as well. I also recommend doing a tab limit. So if they're really only supposed to be working on a couple things, you could have 5 tabs open, and then you'd be able to save your scene. And then when you start your class, either before you start or while the session is active, set a default scene for your class. So if you're only ever working on the same types of projects from the websites, you can do a default scene. Or if your class is already in session, you can always apply a scene from here. Here's my focus scene that I just created, and that would allow the students to only access those websites.